Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Elvis Nation Show. I am your host, Brent. And if you're a bill collector, my name is Jeff. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, no, in all seriousness, I am so grateful to all of you who've given so much love and support to this effort. This draws us to our season 1 finale. As season 1 comes to a close. And you know what? Leave the audience wanting more. It's going to make season 2 that much more epic when it comes around. But to close off season 1, we have an amazing show lined up for you today. Oh my God, I can't even begin to tell you how awesome this is going to be. Just so much engaging content. Over 2.5 hours, the longest show to date. And that's the way to really go out with a bang at the end of every season, is it not? So I'm going to tell you what, I'm not going to waste any time because there's just way too much content. So get yourself something to drink, popcorn, whatever you want to have, whatever munchies. Get in your lazy chair, watch it on TV, watch it on your phone, whatever works for you, because you're going to be here this is like the length of a movie. So this is awesome. So we're going to actually, it's kind of a mix of looking back and looking ahead. Okay. And for one of the looking back segments, we had some requests for some more stuff from the vaults of stuff that wasn't formatted under Elvis Nation, and so it's kind of been lost to history. So I'm going to resurrect a couple of those here. It worked really well on our live stream. So just to kind of break the ice, we're going to go digging into that chamber of antiquated videos that just look so horribly produced at the time. However, though, the music I reacted to, and hopefully the way I gave my reaction, was well worth the paltry budget it was filmed on. So we're going to dive into a reaction for old time's sake. Let's do it. Ooh, listen to that acoustic.
Before you go, walk out on me.
Oh.
Take a look around and tell me what you see.
Ooh.
Here I stand.
Take a look around and what you see. Tell me what
like
you see.
an open book. Is there something here you might have overlooked?
Ooh.
'Cause it would be a shame if you should leave and find that freedom ain't what you thought it would be.
Man, that is such a familiar theme. Wow.
The years we had were not all bad. In fact, I know the good outweighs the bad. Now you say that you've grown tired and you want to be by yourself a while. It would be a shame if you should go.
Love that little part right there, that little change.
Find that freedom was a long time ago.
Oh, man.
Know that you can't stand for chains to bind you.
Boys, that organ's a nice touch there.
They just
subtle.
keep on driving us apart.
And oh, that driving a wedge. Man.
You could go where I could never find you.
Ooh, okay.
Could you go far enough to get away from your heart?
Man, I love the vibe here. Ooh, some good finger work on those strings.
So one more time, for old time's sake, come and lay your head up on my chest. Please don't throw this moment away. We can forget the bad and take the best. If you don't have nothing left to say, let me hold you one more time, for old time's sake. If you don't have nothing left to say, let me hold you one more time, for old time's sake.
This is mellow bliss, but yet it's about strong emotion, but yet it's so mellow in its execution. Wow, that was a blast from the past. We're going to step into the present and perhaps a little bit into the future. Ladies and gentlemen, get your drinking hats on. We're going to the Leon Lounge. We got a 5, we got a 4, we got a 3, we got a 2, we got a 1. And welcome everybody to the Leon Lounge. Drinks are free. 2 a.m. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Okay, that's the rules of the pub. No, and it's just really great to have you, Leon, especially in this era of what we're doing, coming off of the heels of this last presentation. What did you think of it, man?
It was really enjoyable. It's always good to watch Elvis that 7th of August stage rehearsal, but it's also really enlightening when you have your own ideas and your own perspective, but when you hear somebody else's perspective, it's as almost if you're looking at it separated from yourself, and it's good because it's not always good for somebody to agree with you or point out the same things as you. So when you watch and you see somebody giving their point of view and how they feel about it, it's quite refreshing that way, and it always makes it more enjoyable to watch it. Not that it's not enjoyable to watch it to start with, but it's always good when it's like when you sit somebody down who's never seen Elvis before or never seen this, and you say, "Go and watch this," and then you sit and watch and you see how they react, and you, if they're enjoying it, you get an enjoyment out of that as well, you know. So
enjoyment is the key word. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was for those of you who haven't seen it yet, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but as long as one person hasn't heard it, it bears repeating. Go and check out Leon's playlist first, then watch the special if you want the full rounded presentation. It really is, to me, a 2-part deal every time we do one of these, because you want to see the raw footage as it is, and then you have us chime in on the special that I have on my channel. So it really is, to me, a companion piece kind of thing. So Leon, I mean, we set the stage with the first video. I mean, Elvis making that entrance, is that iconic or what, man?
Yeah, it is. And you can also see on the screen where the quality of video changes. So that shows you what was in the original That's the Way It Is movie to what they didn't use. So when you've got the good quality, that's the stuff that was actually used in the movie, like this bit here when Elvis came into the audience, that or into the seating area, that was actually used in the original movie. And then you can see it go back and forward between kind of raw, unmastered footage of like this, like that. There, if that makes any sense. So what you actually saw, you saw the complete performance, which you didn't get in the movie itself.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, that's what happens with the movie. But this is the start of the first of the stage rehearsals. So,
did you notice how he jumped off the stage like that? I mean, such energy. He was so vibrant.
Oh, absolutely right, and right into it from the start.
I mean, okay, now I got to ask you, who were those guys sitting out there?
Right, so that was you were seeing Lamar Fike is the guy that's drinking. You can see him drinking
Yeah, he mentioned him a
just
few
behind
times during the
He
presentation.
goes and sits here. So just standing in front of Elvis there, that's Joe Gershaw, the conductor, who's talking to Elvis, who just shook his hand. And the person just walking away in the blue shirt, that's Joe Esposito, Elvis's road manager.
Oh yeah, Joe Esposito I recognize. It was a couple of the other cats that I didn't. Okay, so that because Elvis actually addressed Lamar a couple times.
Yeah.
Throughout this. But look at how he just stepped right into that, Leon.
Yeah, straight into it. I mean, it's just introduced that. Remember, this is the first time that Elvis had been, almost the first time that Elvis had met Joe Gershaw. Remember, because Joe Gershaw hadn't been Elvis' conductor up to this point; it had been Bobby Morris.
Mm-hmm.
So with the International Hotels Orchestra. So this was Joe Gershaw's first gig with Elvis, and then he became a permanent member of the band.
Oh, wow. And you know, I'm not a fashionista or anything, but that outfit, you can understand why they use that in promotional materials.
Oh, it's just so iconic now. There's no joking about now, just straight into it, and it's...
But you know what? It wasn't like, okay, guys, let's cool it down here and let's get our sets together. They just morphed into it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and those little movements. And he makes it look so effortless, though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think what that shows, the fact that Elvis is doing those moves even rehearsal, shows how natural it is to him. It's not choreographed, it's just, that's quite good. Just dropped his knees there, that's quite good there.
But you know what? It's funny because sometimes he has one foot in goofing off land and one foot in dead serious, like into his craft land. And how many people could really do that?
Oh, absolutely. Because some people would need a transitional period.
Yeah. And you know, he can just basically transport himself effortlessly between these different worlds. I mean, it's just...
Well, if you think about it this way, so this rehearsal is the first of three that Elvis would do up to opening night. So you've got the seventh. In fact, I beg your pardon, fourth. You've got the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, and the 10th of August. And Elvis even did one of these stage rehearsals just hours before the opening night that we're going to do the live stream on. But just shows the amount of work that goes into that, went into that.
Oh, definitely.
I'm saying that was between 12 and 5 in the afternoon.
Okay, so it was 12 and 5 in the afternoon? Okay.
12 and 5 in the afternoon, yeah.
Okay. You mean the whole rehearsal was the 5 hours?
5 hours.
Did Elvis kind of call the times, or was there times where they could use the room, or how did that work?
I think the rehearsal time, I think Elvis obviously had a say in that, but I think it's more a case of, if you think about the fact that the casino's out there, so they don't want the rehearsal too much on when there's too many people in the casino. I think the afternoon's probably the best. But I think what Elvis was also trying to do as well is have the rehearsals at the same time throughout the 4 days, because obviously with opening night being at 10 o'clock at night, I think he didn't want to have the rehearsals going into the sort of show time, if that makes any sense. And when the dinner show would come in, that'd be 8 o'clock. So you'd have the opening show at 10 o'clock with just the one show that evening.
Okay.
And then there'd be 2 shows a night after that at 8 o'clock and midnight.
Oh, wow. And you know, it's like every bit of footage is just precious, and I wish there were 8 more hours of this or something. I mean...
Yeah.
And look at how they're all on standby. I mean, first of all, Leon, it is hard just during a chat session to get 10 people on the same page if you're trying to conduct a chat or a meeting at work. Look at all these people, and yet there's such a fluidity that there's not anyone that we got to go, hey, come on, catch up with us, guys, you know, or they're all so adept.
Yeah. Yep. And they've all got a smile on their face as well.
Yeah. I mean,
But I think Elvis had put them all so easy as well. I think that kind of jokiness in between the rehearsals, I think that kind of put everybody at ease as well.
yeah, and it's weird because sometimes, if you were to think about it, Elvis can just shift every 2 seconds. Like, I'm joking. Okay, let's get into this now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not easy to keep up with someone who changes speeds like that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They just seem to be able to read him so well.
And you remember that, like, this you don't have to see you love me there. The glasses there. But this, you don't have to see you love me. But Elvis has never done this on stage before.
Yeah.
So these rehearsals are really important because there's so many new songs going to be introduced to the show on opening night.
The nerves must have been epic scale, you know what I mean? Because you're trying out something that you haven't had turned into a well-oiled machine yet.
Well, if you imagine the opening night is always when Las Vegas opening night tended to be when Elvis introduced new songs. Not all the time, but 90% of the time. And not only have you got the pressure of that, but you've also got the pressure of knowing the MGM are going to be there filming for That's the Way It Is. So you've got that added extra pressure.
But look at how he, in the band, oh, and God bless, there's Ronnie. And
yeah. With glasses on.
that was such a 70s look, though. Do you know what I mean?
It is, yeah, it definitely is. And everything about that just screams 70s at you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's just so good to watch that. It's.
Well,
that stage looks so small.
It does, and it looks like they're just cramped together. And I mean, there's not a lot of breathing room for anyone up there.
And then when you see actually the concert footage itself, there seems to be tons of room.
Mm-hmm.
I think the camera's zoomed in. Actually, I think that's.
Yeah,
I think that's probably
the camera can be manipulated to kind of give you a different feeling of space. Now look at that's someone in control, Elvis, right there. That how he just. And look at he goes from that to laughing. Like, do you notice that? Look at his movements, Leon, that he just did. Yeah. Can you imagine? You get into this epic thing where you're just swinging around and all that, and then you stop, and then you just like crack a grin. I would still be like huffing and puffing. I wouldn't be like.
Well, how did you put it? In the presentation? That's somebody really comfortable in their own skin.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't, you also have to kind of be like fluid like water or something because a lot of people can't make transitions like that.
Yeah. And I think these after song moments are as priceless as the rehearsal themselves.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it was, I said this in the video, but it still hits me that when you see them performing, that's that like iconic thing where audience members watching it. But when they're sitting around talking, it takes on a somewhat, not eerie tone to it, but to think that here they are, they're alive, they're flesh and blood, they're talking, they're working out kinks just like everybody else would. And that brings it so much down to earth, more because they're not only icons, they're people right now.
Yeah, absolutely right. Look at that look is priceless.
Oh, it really is.
Now I was really disappointed that this, when I first thought this is incomplete, because it really starts off really well and Elvis is really into it, and then it's just, whatever, even Dennis Sanders just stopped recording for whatever reason.
Yeah, how good he is with sound effects too.
Yeah, but this is obviously this is obviously they're waiting for the director to be ready. There's obviously something in the background where they're obviously waiting on something, and this is Elvis keeping everybody at ease by joking around and keeping the atmosphere. Look how relaxed he is there.
Which is actually a selfless act by him, because he's probably just as nervous as everyone else.
What? Yeah.
And when you're the leader, you can't appear like you're vulnerable. But I think if I were to guess, Leon, I would think he just gets into the headspace of the music at that point and lets that take over.
Yeah. I will tell you that song is my ringtone on my phone.
Is it?
It is. The Next Step Is Love is the ringtone on my phone, and has been for a long time. I think what it is that the actual master itself is so. It just feels like it feels relaxed. When Elvis is singing it, he's almost horizontal when he's singing it. And then you've got this, wow. Do you know, this is a song which I adore.
Oh yeah.
But I just don't think it works right on stage.
Do you think maybe if they did something different with it though, like threw in a different curveball with the arrangement, it might have taken on a different life? Or do you just think the song in and of itself is not stage worthy?
I think it's the intimacy of the arrangement. I just don't. I think Elvis. It speaks volumes that Elvis will never perform the song once on stage. But that's also really straight. When you look at the amount of intense rehearsals that Elvis did for 20 days and 20 nights, it was rehearsed at every single stage of the rehearsals.
Okay, 20 days and 20 nights of hard labor.
And yet, they only had the one rehearsal, the one live performance of it.
Was Ronnie joking about something because he was sticking out his drumstick and then smiling? Was there maybe an inside joke there or something?
Yeah,
or?
there must have been. There must have been.
I would have loved to have seen video footage of them, like those moments where just total levity takes over, like even if they're off stage and not where they're just like goofing off. Like, what was that? Remember that one clip where Elvis threw water at that guy as a prank?
Yeah. Do you know, Elvis used to do that during Big Hunk of Love to Glenn Harden almost every show.
Really?
Yeah. And he did it actually. He actually did it in the Aloha show, but you couldn't see it on the original edit. But when the new edit came out, you actually see it happen. You actually see it happen.
And I can't take it.
Okay, I think you're listening. I think you're listening. Like, if you think of the lyrics, it is so like confessional. It is about one person's flaws and all that. And do you think maybe it's too heavy of a topic for entertainment in a live crowd? Do you think that's, or is it?
Not when you consider some of the songs that Elvis had in his live set list later in the 70s, stuff like It's Midnight. I mean, It's Midnight's really heavy.
But see, I think you're getting in my head though, Leon, because I had no problem with this, and now I'm looking for problems with this because you said it doesn't work on stage. Because I love the song so much, and it's so hard for me to like.
Well, I just think the tempo seems faster, the arrangement's slightly different.
Because it is in my top 10 of all time.
Yeah. Well, I love it.
And how they come down right here.
Yeah.
Now, I bet that is really awesome, though, live, though. There are some great transitions in this song, some great build-ups. So is it more about the music that you don't think is appropriate for the stage, or the lyrics?
I just don't think the arrangement works as well on stage as it does.
On the
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you what might have worked if Elvis had done it on stage. Maybe the way that the undubbed master was, I think it might have worked better.
Ooh.
Oh, how I miss her, and
But see, you just did what I did with The Last Farewell. You said, I like this. I would have just done it a little differently.
Well, I'll be honest, Brent. I would say the same thing for virtually every song that Elvis recorded during that Nashville 1970 session.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think that every single song in that just sounds better with the undub master. It just sounds far more contemporary. I think the strings in the backing kind of age it a little bit, or date it, should I say, rather than age it. I think it dates it. It's got that kind of 70s backing on them. Did you see Charlie Hodge in the background there?
Yeah.
He's actually directing the Joe 𝗣𝗧, trying to tell him, if you watch. So Elvis is kind of directing the TCB band and the backing singers. And Charlie Hodge is getting back to the stage, and he's actually prompting the orchestra themselves or Joe 𝗣𝗧 and the orchestra, which I think is quite interesting. I just wish there was more of this.
Oh, I know. Like about another 18 hours, maybe.
So this was in the original 1970 movie as well, but heavily edited. But what they did in the original movie is they had it kind of split screen. Mm-hmm. So while Elvis is rehearsing, that's the way it is. What you're getting Elvis on one part of the split screen, and the other part of the split screen, you're getting all the preparations that are going on behind the scenes in the International Hotel. You see some some sort of beef joints being roasted, and waiting for, obviously for the pre-show dinner.
Now, like, how did they do that? Did they all, like, between the rehearsal and did they all, like, eat together, or did they go off their own way and have private time before they? I think
Elvis went off with his entourage, essentially, and the band went and did whatever they did. And that's the way it is. You can see Elvis relaxing backstage before he's in costume, but you can hear Elvis talk about the nerves that he's going through, how he's worried that he's going to forget the words to "I Just Can't Help Believing." He's reading, because opening night he's had a lot of telegrams sent to him from different people, and he's reading through them, and a bit of joking going on here and there. So you get a little bit of insight to that in that movie. But that's quite.
Well, and two, I gotta let some people know, because I've been asked about this, Leon. Like, how could you not have seen this yet, Brett? Well, here's the thing. I am waiting till I react to a lot of this before I watch like a whole thing all the way through, because I want to film as much of my raw thing about this as possible, because that's one of the whole points of doing reactions.
Yeah.
If I just went and watched everything and heard every single song, it wouldn't be as much of an adventure for me.
Yeah, definitely. But this Elvis could just walk through the motions for this in rehearsal, but he's not. He's right into it.
Oh yeah.
But that just, as I said when we were talking about You've Lost a Loving Feeling, the movements are just so natural. Mm-hmm. There's nothing forced about it. There's nothing choreographed about it. It's just all natural.
But see, you could tell he's so into this right now.
Oh, absolutely. But even the sweets in the background are right into it as well, as you can see.
Yeah. I mean, look at that. With that, I mean, that's almost like You know, you and I could try to imitate that, Leon, and it wouldn't come off like the way he did that.
Oh, absolutely not. And look at Ronnie watching.
Ronnie is, yep. Ronnie is totally in sync with him. Look at that.
Yeah.
You could just feel
Yeah.
the connection there.
Yeah. And if you watch Ronnie even there, he's moving all the time. It's constant.
Yeah. It's almost like he's made himself just go along with the song. Like, the song's controlling him and his movements.
Yeah.
These aren't people just going through the motions. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely not.
Everybody said it was a shame. My mama was working on the chain.
Could you imagine Leon sitting out there in one of those booths?
Oh, wow. Do you know there would have been some people that had been lucky enough, hotel employees or even the camera crew, who were just so lucky to be there.
Yeah, I even joked. I don't know if I said that or if I cut it out, but I said something like, even if I could travel time and I had to be performing as a busboy during that, I said, I'll take it.
Absolutely.
If I could catch 5 minutes of this, I will do it. Look at that. I mean...
And this is rehearsal.
Yes. You know, it's funny. I must have watched this like 18 times since I did my recording of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's still like I have goosebumps at this moment. Like, hardly anything else can do that to me in life.
When my Jesus was.
Now, this one on my very first incarnation channel, it's probably like, I think the third or fourth video I ever reacted to. And I remember at the time I said, it's just not long enough.
Yeah.
Happy day.
There's another aspect about Ronnie we didn't mention yesterday.
Yeah.
How did that all of a sudden get louder? Is that the way it was in the film? It just got louder?
No, that's the re-edited audio kicking in.
Oh.
So
Gotcha.
the first part is only available on the movie soundtrack itself, so I had to leave that. But then when there's a couple of official sets that come out with the remastered audio on it, and I put that on, especially for the main performance of that. That's why it gets a little bit louder there.
I always thought, Leon, that for as wild as James Burton's playing style is, as innovative as he is with the strings, he always tended to look so relaxed what he was doing.
Oh, perfectly, and absolutely, it just seems effort. Whether it be John Wilkinson, James Burton, Ronnie, or Jerry Schiff, they just all look effortless in what they're doing.
Yeah.
And you know, Elvis only performed this song live once. And it was, believe it or not, 24 hours after MGM stopped rolling the cameras.
Weren't we talking about doing that one on live or something on one of our, when we did our Elvis anniversary of his passing, when we did that special?
Right,
we mentioned
so
a lot of songs live or something, and
yeah, that's right, we did.
just showing how many times we've done this now that I'm going, did we do this or yeah? Yeah, we did. I think we did. Look.
Yeah. There's some good back and forth between Elvis and the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
As the worm turns.
This is where Lamar gets a little bit of a ribbing here.
I'm going to turn it up for this part.
That little mouth, it just doesn't fit his head and body, man. A little bitty bird, man. Hey, take my pen. I think for a closing shot, Dennis, we'll hang Lamar from the balcony. You know, just dangle him from the balcony, that little bitty neck. And put strobe lights on him like this, blinking. You know how your underarm is, so put it down. That goes on film, too, Lamar. That's on film, son. That's on record forever. Next song? No comebacks. I've lost you, gentlemen.
This is another one where I wish the rehearsal had been past the first verse.
Lying by your side, I watch you sleeping, and in your face,
But see, look,
sweetness of a child.
not only how he can transition to it, but he could still, like, he's still thinking of something funny. But yet he's still doing the song amazingly.
Yeah. And that happened quite often on stage as well, where
Yeah.
if you see the version of I've Lost You that they used, and That's the Way It Is, it's from the 12th of August dinner show, and two things happen in that. First of all, the cor anglaise gets a little bit out of sync, out of tune, or out of time, should I say, with the rest of the band.
Oh yeah.
And then so in the original That's the Way It Is movie, the version of I've Lost You that you used from the 12th of August dinner show, the cor anglaise gets out of time with the rest of the band, and that combined with a little bit of microphone feedback kind of throws Elvis back a bit, and you can see Elvis kind of laughing, but still, and then he raises his eyebrows to somebody in the audience, but he's at no point during that does he have to stop. He just keeps going. And to be honest, if you were only listening to audio, you wouldn't have known any of this. The Elvis's reaction, I mean, because he still sounds perfectly right through. And that goes to what you're saying about Joe still having something in his head, but still being able to deliver.
Mary in the morning.
I like this bit too.
Be my little Mary, and I'll read you till you go blind.
Well, Leon, take this opportunity to explain one of our next from first take to master.
Better wait a minute.
Yeah.
I don't
So,
think I have the full attention.
as you said during your when you were doing your reaction that you'd never heard this song before, and that just got me thinking that well, we'll just throw the full package at you and just give you the first take to the master.
James,
Which, you know me, I love heading into the studio with Elvis.
they don't tell you.
Oh, absolutely. And the studio master of this is absolutely
Big old
gorgeous.
screaming eagle out there, man.
I love the undubbed master as well in this, and I like, but I don't want to spoil it too much for you, but it really is a beautiful song.
Mouth, I said. See, that shows how you think. I wouldn't say that.
There's also a couple of things that happened during this as well. When I was editing this,
You can't say big ass on
Elvis actually has to stop and go back and restart. But the way the footage kind of just suddenly stops, it can be a wee bit jarring in the middle. I don't know if you'd noticed that when you were reacting to it.
Now, Leon, when they do the set list,
nothing.
is that Elvis's baby, or is that
Yeah.
is it?
It's Elvis and Charlie Hodge kind of decided, and then Glenn Harden had some input, being obviously because he'd have to come up with the arrangements. But it was essentially Elvis and Charlie Hodge, with Elvis having the final say. But I think for for these first 6 shows especially, I think Elvis was trying to get as much stuff from Nashville and as just recorded as possible. And I think there were a couple of requests from MGM themselves for certain songs that he, to do, and Elvis was quite obliging.
When I awake, I see her there, so close beside me. I want to take her in my arms, the ache is there, so deep inside me.
How can you go into that tenderness just like within a couple minutes after throwing stuff out to people and joking about?
Oh, it's just pure talent, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it even goes beyond talent.
Yeah.
You got to
Do you know
have like a perception beyond perception or something.
But you know, there's a little bit of melancholy in watching this, because I'm watching this with the knowledge that Elvis never actually performed this on stage. All this rehearsal and even to this stage, and then just decided not to use it.
Did they ever give a rationale for why they chose to?
No, I think it's probably just a decision that Elvis just made, that he just didn't want to do it.
And two, we never understand like their reasonings, because that might be like, I never like how that middle eighth sounded and I'd just rather not do it than do it that way, or, you know, there could be a myriad of reasons.
Yeah. I mean, there was quite a lot of songs. If you take the rehearsals as one package, from the 14th of July right up until the final stage rehearsal on the afternoon of opening night on the 10th of August, if you take that as one rehearsal, then there are some songs that didn't get past certain stages. You know, some songs were dropped early on, others were rehearsed kind of half seriously. But the fact that Mary in the Morning got right to the final stage and is the only song that got that far that wasn't included.
When I awake and see her there, so close beside me.
I mean, the kids today call it the feels, and there was just a lot of that there just now.
Yeah.
Her in my arms,
See that piece there? You can see that bit there. That's just where the footage just had to change.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a little bit jarring, but you can only work with what you have.
It's only as good as the source, you know. It's no, and I gotta hand it to you, Leon. The hours that you put in, really, I don't see anyone else doing what you do. How you kind of make a complete thought out of scattered fragments, and it's really masterful editing. And I just don't. I hope I credit you enough. I just hope people out there realize that of what you do. It's not like you're just throwing on footage and go, there you go, enjoy.
Yeah, but just throwing up footage, it wasn't something I wanted to do. I wanted to throw up something different, which is why I felt that giving the best audio possible.
Yes.
Rather than because the original raw movie audio is in mono and not particularly well mastered, simply because of the age of it. And I thought, well, Sony and RCA have released this stuff which is better, so. And I only did it essentially to begin with for my own benefit. And then I thought, well, I'll just put it on YouTube and see how it goes.
Now, did Elvis, was there a promoter or this sounds like a dumb question, but who paid the orchestra people? Who paid, where did that come from? Okay.
Elvis. Yeah. Elvis paid the members of the TCB band, the Sweet Inspirations, the Imperials, Joe Gershaw, and then gave Joe Gershaw whatever he needed to pay the musicians, because Joe Gershaw himself. Now, what you're watching there is Joe Gershaw with the International Hotel of Joe Gershaw Orchestra. But that orchestra, the personnel in that orchestra would change back and forward, back and forward.
So wait, did that come out of like that came out of Elvis's money to do this, or was it a record label, or
no? The Elvis paid Elvis. The band and Joe Gershall were employed by Elvis.
Okay, so like, okay, but did the Colonel put up half of the money then, since the Colonel got 50%?
Yeah.
No, because that would be really a shitty thing if the Colonel, like Elvis, put up all the money to finance everybody, but yet the Colonel reaped 50% of the rewards.
Yeah. Well, you can draw your own conclusion to that.
No, I already have. If that's the case.
So I didn't realise how much you liked that song until I heard what you said in the commentary of this during when you were doing the presentation. I didn't realise how much affection you had for that song.
Oh yeah. I think I listened to it about 10 times a week.
Yeah. Well, spoiler alert, but there's a version of that in the opening night that we're doing, so.
Another reason for everybody to tune in on Sunday. And I know all your IP addresses. I will track y'all down who do not watch.
Yeah. Do you know, in the original That's the Way It Is movie, the very first thing that you actually hear Elvis talking about is this song itself, and how when he done it in '69 on stage, they couldn't get the ending right. And they put an awful lot of work into trying to get it right. But Elvis only performed it another twice. The opening night that we're going to do on Sunday, and the 12th of August midnight show version, which I think is the final version he did live, which I think is fantastic.
No doubt.
The lovely James Burton solo in this as well. See, in the 2001 re-edited version of That's the Way It Is, what MGM did, and I don't understand why they did it, was instead of using one of the two live versions, they used half of this and half of the rehearsal from the convention centre 3 days earlier, and used it as a transition to move from the convention centre to the stage rehearsal. But I would much rather they used one of those two live renditions. That's just my opinion.
You know what, Leon, another thing that I didn't mention this during the presentation, but what stuck out to me is just how perfectly this was all laid out, because the songs were perfect in the order they were in.
Yeah.
Like if they just started out with Patch It Up and ended with Words or something, I don't know. It just, the way this was all put together, I just really thought it had a great flow to it.
Well, do you know, I think this was done with a nod to what's going to happen on opening night, because the final rehearsal on the 10th of August is essentially the opening night set list.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So this would be a good time to clue people in. For those who don't know, what are we going to be looking at Sunday on the live stream?
Well, Sunday we are going to do the complete 10th of August opening show, 1970 opening show, from start to finish, every single song, the entire show, and it's just going to be absolutely awesome. And what I should tell people is I think you have seen virtually none of this show. There's a lot. It's probably the finest opening show that Elvis ever did.
Awesome, Leon. It's just.
And do you know what else is actually worth noting is that there's quite a lot of video footage of this show, but all the MGM used in That's the Way It Is was That's All Right, the opening song, and a heavily edited version of the Mystery Train Tiger Man medley, and that's all. Everything else, cutting room floor.
Boy, you know, today it would be all digital. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you know, I was thinking that when I was watching that, actually. When I was watching it, I was thinking that, actually.
How archaic this feels, you know, doing a manual marquee.
Yeah.
Some great still shots, Leon.
Oh, they are. Definitely are. But that side we see the footage going up, that's from the original movie. That's
I've actually seen that before. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a few things I'd love to say about Patch It Up, but I'm going to wait until Sunday.
Do you think here's the thing. I remember once someone said, Leon, that when Ricky Nelson appeared at Madison Square Garden, he was he wanted to play his new stuff, like Garden Party and stuff. He didn't want it to be a 50s malt shop nostalgia show.
Yeah.
And do you think there were some people who came to see Elvis hoping it was a blast of their past and they didn't realize that he had a lot of great new material to do?
Well, do you know, I think you're right. I think there was, and I also think that I have read the amount of reviews that I have read of bands or singers who have a new album out, and the concert has been essentially 90% of new material, and a lot of audiences haven't really been very receptive to that. And I just wonder if Elvis had that partially in mind, that he didn't want to disappoint anybody.
But you know what's funny, though? Time changes that, because I guarantee you, if Elvis stayed alive and if during his 1991 tour, if he ripped into words, they would have all went crazy over it, because there's something about if it's an older song from their collection, all of a sudden it feels more nostalgic. So if Elvis toured in 91, all of his 70 songs would be those awesome flashbacks too.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of context, you know, it's about context sometimes.
I just feel there's so many songs that Elvis could have included in his live set list from his back, not even from his back catalogue, but if you think a song like Always on My Mind was never done live, Separate Ways was rehearsed to the point of the stage rehearsal and never done live. Any Day Now was done as far as stage rehearsal. Full orchestral stage rehearsal. Even in 72 that was redone, and he never included it. Dropped it before actually taking it onto the stage. So if you think the amount of hits that Elvis actually had that he didn't even perform on stage, and the closest that Elvis came to actually promoting a new album would be in 75, where maybe 3 or 4 songs from the Elvis Today album he included in his set list for a short period.
Mm-hmm.
But it's but isn't hindsight a wonderful thing?
Yeah, and that seems to be a recurring theme, because I think I've said that about 50 million times on my reaction videos. You know, like even when we did that The Last Farewell and stuff, I had to say, okay, wait, I'm going back with a retroactive personality. Yeah. But this is just like, it's kind of him walking off, and it's sort of like I don't know if you remember, I said on the video, I said, yeah, man, you're in this sacred place, and for a while, you're really in there. You're just really, you're in there, and then you're just whisked back away. Except I'm not saying there's no place like home. I'd rather be there. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. If you think that's 5 hours work condensed into what, 40 minutes or so there. And there's so much other stuff must have went on there. I mean, we know what the full set list was that Elvis did during that rehearsal, and it's not far. But obviously we're only seeing like one rehearsal of each song. There's no doubt that Elvis had done multiple rehearsals of the same song throughout that rehearsal, because and there would have been a break in. I'm sure there would have been a break in between. I don't think they went 5 hours straight without stopping.
Well, but, I just it's a lot of stuff to take in.
Oh, it is.
Leon, I'm telling you what, I had a great time going over with this. It just added even more depth and dimension when you added even some more introspection into this. And I could have watched this about another 50 times. And how sweet it is. And I want to thank you for opening up the lounge to us this week.
Pleasure.
And I look forward to seeing everybody on Sunday. You know how to contact Leon. He's got his Ultimate Elvis channel. There's a link in there. Also a link to the original presentation on his site, the source material for what I did with my reaction on there. And so go and check that out. And Leon always has good stuff. Also, you have also a Facebook group that I want to plug.
Mm-hmm. It's called I Just Can't Help Believing. Yeah,
just can't help believe it. You always post the newest, latest, and greatest on there.
Yeah,
that's why I like. So there's always something to watch out for. That way, you just subscribe to that or join that group or whatever. You are informed about every upload that's going on and just some great stuff. So thank you so much, Leon.
Thank you.
Okay, what we have next is a reaction, but it also is kind of historic because this is like one of my first interactions with Leon, looking on his video description for Snowbird. And this is before we began our collaboration. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Snowbird.
Let's do Snowbird. You like that song, Snowbird? We don't know it, but if you like it, we'll... Anybody know it? How's it start and how's it finish? And what's the middle of it? I got the rest of it. Just bring a stool over here and let me sit down, man. You know, I ain't gonna work too hard tonight. Hell, let's get through eating.
Love this small talk on stage. I could listen to hours of this on end. I don't know about you guys.
Oh, shut up. That's too slow. I didn't get it. You don't have that. Wait a minute, hold it. You don't have that bird going about like that. You know, I'm just Snowbird cuts out. You got. Beneath the snowy mantle cold and. Wait a minute, fellas, hold it. God bless America in some parts of China. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, look. That's it. That's how birds fly.
I love the string.
The snowy mantle cold and clean. The young-born grass lies waiting for its cold to turn to green. Snowbird sings a song he always sings, and speaks to me of flowers that will bloom again in spring. When I was young, my heart was young then too. Anything that it would tell me, that's the thing that I would do. But now I feel such emptiness within, for the thing that I want most in life's the thing that I can't win. Spread your tiger wings and fly away, and take the snow back with you where it came from on that day. The one I love forever is untrue, and if I could, you know that I would fly away with you. The breeze along the river seems to say that she'll only break my heart again should I decide to stay. Snowbird, take me with you when you go to that land of gentle breezes where the peaceful waters flow.
Ooh, love that lyric.
Spread your tiny wings and fly away, and take the snow back with you where it came from on that day. What I love forever is untrue, and If I could, you know that I would fly away with you.
Oh,
Yeah, if I could, you know that I would fly away with you.
Thank you very much. What you got on your mind? Try to take this. What you got on your mind? Sure. It's really a tough way to make a living, boy. Are you really? People from Atlanta think when they die, they go to Memphis.
oh, love that line.
Thank you. You've been a fantastic audience. I really enjoyed entertaining you.
Okay, that was really powerful. That was really, I love the whole idea of taking a complex string arrangement that actually came off sounding simple, kind of like airy, kind of bouncy, and you combine that with the country song. It felt like a country song meets a Phil Spector-ish Wall of Sound kind of song. It kind of felt like a confluence of those two things, and I really, really just dug the vibe. This is something I could listen to every morning to properly mobilize me for a day of kind of residing in positivity. Just a beautiful, beautiful number. And also, Leon, who hosts that channel, gave me some information about this song that I'll look into now for you guys. This is awesome. Let's see. Okay, according to Leon, another nice touch of crowd pleasing from Elvis. By this stage, the Vegas boredom had already started to set in. It happens to the best of us. Not that all of us know what that's like, but the massive success of ETWII, that's the way it is for those of you who don't know, followed by his first two tours to massive sellout crowds, had probably made the Vegas engagement seem like just another job. So there's some wear and tear going on there. For example, his last show of 1970 in Salt Lake City attracted a crowd of 13,000, whereas this show, as every show of this engagement, despite all being sold out, had an audience of just 2,200. The dinner shows at the International Hotel were mostly filled with high roller gamblers who just wanted some entertainment in between trying for hard eights. I like the way you put it. Thank you, Leon. It didn't help that probably for that reason that Elvis was asked to keep his dinner shows to about 50 minutes, according to the hotel hierarchy, so as to get the punters and their money back into the hotel's casinos. Gotta keep that money train going. That almost feels disrespectful. I can understand being like a novice entertainer. You're just there for some background music. This is Elvis. Oh, that feels like disrespectful to Elvis. It does. Okay, and also it says this imposed restriction combined with the clatter of crockery and cutlery during performances makes it a little wonder he preferred the midnight shows and disliked the dinner shows so much. God, I would have loved to have been there at a midnight show. Oh my God, I get those holy nighttime vibes here in Elvis in that sacred space of night. So this track was officially released on Sony's Elvis Collector's label FTD in 2004 on the album The Impossible Dream. God bless you, Leon. Again, go and check out his link to his channel that I'll be posting in the description. Thank you all for joining me. This has been an amazing ride so far. A few bumps in the road, but I think almost anything worth it in life is going to kind of have some peaks and valleys. So. Okay, how sweet it is. Now I'm telling you what, we're going to be doing something brand new that we've never done before on this channel. We're going to highlight once again a creative side of one of the members of the Elvis Nation, and Lesley Pilling, who is just a masterful writer who I just think is brilliant in so many ways, who will also be featured prominently later in the episode. She submitted a story, and I just found it illuminating, so much so that I said I not only want to feature it on the Elvis Nation show, I want to produce a segment, add some visuals to accompany it. And so we collaborated on this, where Lesley wrote and narrated the story, and I provided the video portion and the editing. And I couldn't be happier. So we're going to be stepping into the future after Elvis's non-passing and his performance at Wembley And I can't tell you how engaging I thought this was. It also made me wish it was really true. And so sit back, relax, and step into that creative zone and enjoy this little trip into the once possible future.
The crowd swarmed down Wembley Way and into the stadium. Here I was, 17 years old, a devoted fan for the past 10 years, and finally the day had arrived. The low rumble of Also Sprach Zarathustra came seeping up through the floor, on up through our feet, shaking our bodies from the very core, and rose to a crescendo. The capacity audience grew silent as a single nervous spotlight flickered to the right of the stage. Hearts thudded, mouths grew dry, and palms glistened. The pounding bass of C.C. Ryder bounced and reverberated around the stadium. And there he was. Striding purposely to centre stage came the figure in a white bejewelled jumpsuit, looking fit, healthy, and happy. Elvis was here. For the next few minutes, no one could hear a thing. The audience seemed to rise as one in an explosion of gargantuan proportions that could surely be felt the length and breadth of England and beyond. Flashbulbs popped, some people screamed, others applauded, and others just stood open-mouthed, unable to believe that the moment they'd dreamed of for so long had actually arrived. C.C. Ryder ended, and the ovation just went on and on. The wave of love, appreciation, and respect swept through the crowd and up onto the stage. Elvis stood in silence. He could do no more. The many cameras trained on that beautiful face captured tears in his eyes. On and on, the ovation showed no sign of abating. Elvis grinned, shook his head, and raised his hands to applaud the audience. After 5 minutes more, he motioned to the audience to quieten. "Ladies and gentlemen, we love you, Elvis," a lone voice somehow made itself heard above the maelstrom of sound. "I love you too, honey," he replied, and the audience erupted. "Thank you very much," he tried again. I guess we finally made it, didn't we?" The whole arena shook as a thunderous applause was the only answer he needed. "I've got a woman," the band broke into the opening riff, and Elvis carried on with the show. Mayhem broke out once more when he substituted the line, "I got a woman way across London." Number after number was met by rapture. Hit after hit, punctuated by unstoppable enthusiasm. Elvis was flying, and he carried the whole stadium with him. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to 4 guys I first met around 10 years ago, and I'm really pleased they're here tonight. Guys, come out here and say hello. From the corner of the stage, 4 men walked out to join Elvis. John, Paul, George, and Ringo. They all stood smiling somewhat nervously as they shook Elvis's hand. "Guys, I hope you don't mind. I'd like to sing a couple of your songs," Elvis grinned. John leant across to the mic. "We'll discuss the fee later," he quipped. The Beatles left the stage to the opening bars of The Long and Winding Road. And after a mesmeric performance, Elvis went on to sing Yesterday and Hey Jude, the evening's magic growing minute by fabulous minute. The air was electric. The excitement pulsated and grew with every song he sang. Old favourites, including American Trilogy and Suspicious Minds. But there were new songs too. Elvis's version of Eric Clapton's You Look Wonderful Tonight was captivating. And 3 Times a Lady, as recorded by the Commodores, left the audience begging for more. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, you're a fantastic audience. Before we go any further, there's a young lady here tonight who would like to say hello. Lisa, honey, come out here. From the wings and into Elvis's outstretched arms ran Lisa Marie. Say hi to these folks, Lisa, her father said, smiling proudly. The blonde-haired little girl waved enthusiastically to the sea of faces and sparkling flashbulbs. Around the stadium, hundreds of arms waved back at her. "Okay, darling, that's enough. This is Daddy's audience." Elvis joked, kissing his daughter and patting her playfully on the bottom as she skipped off stage, turning to give one last cheeky wave before she disappeared. Elvis was majestic and in total command. Ask anyone in the audience and he was speaking and singing directly to them. The personal relationship between artist and each individual was well crafted and very real. From rocking versions of Johnny B. Goody to a genuine and heartfelt rendition of the magnificent How Great Thou Art, Elvis was all everyone had imagined and more, much more. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, you really are a fantastic audience. I'd just like to say that it may have taken a while for us to get here. The whole arena cheered, but it really has been worth the wait. Elvis's words were met by a wall of applause that shook the ground. God willing, we'll see you again very soon, and I'd like to sing this song just for you. The gentle piano intro of Can't Help Falling in Love was lost as the whole world seemed to be enveloped by the cacophony of sound reverberating in and around the stadium. The song ended. Elvis dropped to his knees, arms outstretched, cape wide. Once again the cameras caught a look of pure joy and love on his face, a look reflected back at him by each and every member of the audience. He walked across the stage, acknowledging each section of the crowd. Then he was gone. The cheers went on and on until a voice rang out, "Elvis has left the stadium." Thank you, and good night.
Thank you so much, Lesley. It was a sheer privilege working with someone as talented as you are. And hopefully there'll be many more collaborations to come. I love working with people in the Elvis community. It is just an immense pleasure. And speaking of another collaboration, our very own wunderkind, Dylan, who's light years ahead of his age, has curated amazing series. Jumpsuit Corner. This is going the 1972 year that we'll be covering. So let's do it. Hey everybody, welcome to our third installment of Jumpsuit Corner with Dylan Bowen, an Elvis performance artist, also an expert on all things Elvis jumpsuits. And Dylan, we're moving into the year 1972 now, so what are your thoughts?
Now, I want to say we have got other segments to get through, so I don't want to be taking up this entire episode with me just raving about how much I love these suits. So I apologize in advance.
And for those of you who want to stick through the whole thing, you can camp out with us. We'll be here for about, a good amount of the evening. Hey, you know what? There's not such thing as too much Elvis in this life. So, Dylan, we're going to move on to the first set for 1972. Now, these aren't exactly jumpsuits, so I'm hoping you can elaborate.
Yeah, all right. So, some fun facts for you is that Elvis' first show of 72 was in Las Vegas, Nevada on January 26, 1972, which he wore a two-piece. And then he would go on to wear two pieces at the end of the June 1972 tour and for pretty much the whole of the August-September 72 Vegas engagement. Now, this was also a big year, as it was the best year for Elvis as a performer and ticket sales, etc. And this was also a huge year, as from April 5th to April 19th, 72, they recorded his second and last documentary, Elvis on Tour, which debuted on November the 1st, 1972.
I'm looking at the one with his blue top with the white pants. And it's funny, that to me seems the most non-performing outfit. It almost seems like something he could have worn at a party that night or something. That was really low-key for what, one was to expect from his...
Yeah, well, he would often wear his casual wear on stage as well. Mm-hmm. So that kind of explains the casual look. But, it still works.
Oh, I think it's an awesome combination because, blue and white, you can't go wrong with that, and especially that style of blue shirt. And now, of course, he has like that kind of, the first picture we looked at was kind of that psychedelic look with his shirt. But I thought what was interesting in the black and white picture, the inside of his cape has that kind of funky design.
Yeah. Now that is from Chicago, I believe.
Oh, it is? Okay. And I like the cape look, though, that he does have with his suit right there.
Well, I mean, we're going to be seeing a lot of that today.
Wow, just a lot of interesting stuff there. And before we move on to the next set, I want to encourage everybody out there. I want you all to be part of this. I want this to be a group dialogue, not just the Dylan and Brent show. I want you guys to chime in on what suits you like, why you liked them, and maybe point out things maybe neither of us addressed in this.
Yeah.
Now we move into some jumpsuits here, and got a blue scheme where... What is this exactly I'm looking at, Dylan?
So this is the powder blue suit, and Elvis wore the powder blue suit a total of 12 times over the span of January to November of 1972. And Elvis first wore this suit in Las Vegas, Nevada on January 29th, 1972. And Elvis wore this suit for the final time in Lubbock, Texas on November 8th, 1972. Now this suit was most famously worn during the evening show on April 9th. 1972 in Hampton Roads, Virginia, which is the most used show in the 1972 documentary Elvis on Tour, which debuted on November 1st, 1972.
Wow, and I'm telling you what, we talked last week about how cool, it's not only just cool seeing the suit, but there are some epic poses that Elvis has, and the one with him holding the microphone and kind of sneering while he's about to sing, that's just classic.
Yeah, and also, I just love the powder blue so much. It's just a fantastic suit. Elvis looks glorious in it. That's a Michelle word. Absolutely glorious. He looks divine. Another Michelle word. You know what? I'm just going to use the dictionary of Michelle throughout the whole episode. Because all the words she uses to describe the suits and Elvis in the suits are absolutely true.
Oh, wow.
Divine, glorious, gorgeous.
Wow.
All of the above. All of the above.
One of my favorite videos from Elvis on tour is Can't Help Falling in Love, and he just dons that suit perfectly in it. And I think it's just such a subtle shade of blue. It's not too much in your face. There's subtlety to it. And I think the blue and blue and gold, like anything that kind of has a yellowish tint kind of goes with anything. And if you look at the first shot where you just see the suit itself, to realize just how good in shape Elvis was, because it's such a slenderizing look, and it just kind of, but yet it has like a wide shouldered look. So to me, it kind of symbolizes strength. That's just my take.
Yeah. And also it symbolizes purity because of the blue.
Yes.
And Elvis was kind of just like purely Elvis. And you talked about Can't Help Falling in Love. That last shot of Elvis with the cape spread wide like this.
Oh, man.
Like, that's just an iconic shot.
It's majestic. It is total majestic. It is something that leaves an indelible mark on someone's brain, whoever has seen it. And wow. Okay, now we're totally throwing a shift here. This is a very bright red. I mean, there's no way to escape it. Red and gold. So what's your take on all this?
Alright, so this is the red pinwheel, also known as the Burning Love suit. And Elvis wore the red pinwheel, most known as the Burning Love, a total of 10 times over the span of February to November of 1972. And Elvis first wore this suit for the first time in Las Vegas, Nevada, during the midnight show on February 6, 1972. And Elvis last wore the suit in El Paso, Texas, on November 11th, 1972. Now, this suit is most famously worn during the April 10th, 1972 show in Richmond, Virginia, which made quite a few appearances in the documentary Elvis on Tour.
It's funny because the blue with the purity, it kind of had a muted effect. And this one kind of went like fire. So it looks like we're looking at ice and then fire when you compare these two series together. And I just think, first of all, I love the pinwheel design, though. Do you know what I mean? I'm crazy about that.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, like I said this about... I think I said it about I think it was the red line actually. I said it about is that you can see the red Burning Love suit from like a mile away. Like
Yeah.
You could be at the back of the theater, and you can see it from a mile off.
Yeah, you can't escape it. There's just no escaping. It's almost like Inferno in the form of thread. You know what I mean? It just, it's like fabric built of fire or something. And it just, it totally kind of also just, it's funny, as decorative and as frilly as some of these can be or whatever, yet this screams like hyper masculine at the same time. Okay, so now, well, boy, are we just color jumping here on these little series. Now we're into a black, is it a black and yellow motif?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow, so what's this called?
So this is called the black and yellow butterfly. And Elvis only wore the black and yellow butterfly once in his career, which was on February 10th, 1972 in Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, this suit is often confused for its belt. So in the picture with Elvis in the gold belt, he didn't actually wear that on stage. That was just for like a fitting.
Oh, okay.
So if you see the next picture, which is him in the white belt, that's actually him on stage.
Oh, wow.
So people get confused because people think that he wore the gold belt on stage.
Yeah.
But he wore the white belt on stage. And the last picture, he's got the cape on, but he's got no belt on. So he took the belt off.
Oh, I see.
What's your take on the...
well, if you look at the picture with Elvis in the gold belt, I'm kind of doing back and forth, and I know it sounds weird, but the white belt does stand out a little bit more to me than the gold belt, but it could be because of the lighting, you know what I mean, in the situation. I mean, don't get me wrong, the gold belt's kind of cool, but it's a little bit blurry of a picture, so I can't really see the fine detail. But don't get me wrong, I like the gold belt, but there's something about the white surrounding it contrasts the dark of the suit. And so I like that. It's really prominent with the white belt. What about you?
I like it too. I really do like it. And the thing is, you can put Elvis in like a Boston Red Sox jersey and just say, right, there you go on stage with that on. And he will just wear it amazing.
As if we're not just blown away by the diverse coloring of those suits. Now we move into purple territory, Dylan.
Yeah. Alright, so this is the owl suit. And he wore the suit a total of 5 times during the span of February and November 1972. And Elvis first wore the suit in Vegas during the midnight show on February 4th, 72. Now, with an urban myth out there, is this owl suit blue or is it purple? Now, this suit was the last one in San Bernardino, California, November 30th, 1972. Now, this suit is easily mixed up with a blue colour, when it's actually a dark purple.
Yeah, especially when you look at the other pictures.
Yeah, so if there's people out there who don't know if it's blue or purple, it's purple. And this suit is most famous for being worn during the April 14th, 1972 show in Greensboro, North Carolina, which made a few appearances in the 72 documentary Elvis on Tour. Now, I'm going back to yours and Leon's Bridge Over Troubled Water presentation. The 1972 version, Elvis is wearing that suit.
Well, first of all, I got to ask you first, before I give my take, what's Elvis doing on the stage floor?
Well, yeah, Elvis was just tired, I guess, after all that.
I love that. I just love it, though. A little less on the top, like maybe leave the sleeves plain or something. A little too bejeweled on top for me, my taste. But not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that I would have gone a little more, like, you know, with the pants. There's a lot more fabric on the pants. It's not as studded down there.
No, I think it's studded just enough. Like, I don't think it's too much. I feel like it's just studded enough that people like it. If that makes any sense.
Now, what's your take on the belt?
I love the belt. Now, another thing about the belt. When Elvis does Funny How Time Slips Away in the suit and Elvis on Tour, he goes, for those of you that can't see, this is an owl. When he points to the belt, he goes, this is an owl.
Wow. Was there ever, like, I wonder what the motivation was to design that like that. Was it symbolic of something, or?
I don't think it was symbolic.
It's just there to be there.
Yeah.
Wow, just some amazing stuff. And again, if you look at the design, it really slenderizes him because it really gives that perfect V shape to his torso.
Mm-hmm. And Elvis just looks great.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt about it. Okay, now we're moving into white territory with this jumpsuit, but yet it has a gold lining.
Yeah.
And what's this called, Dylan?
So this is the white and yellow pyramid. And Elvis only wore the white and yellow pyramid once in his career, which is at the afternoon show in Jacksonville, Florida, on April 16th, 1972. Now, this suit is famous for being in the documentary Elvis on Tour, while Elvis was leaving in a car talking about the show, singing a snippet of Tony Joe White's Rainy Night in Georgia. And this suit is even more famous for appearing on the cover of Elvis' 1972 live album. Elvis was recorded live at Madison Square. No, sorry. Elvis as recorded at Madison Square Garden, which debuted on June 18th, 1972.
And first of all, I love how the studded lines kind of burst out from the midline.
Yeah.
Because it kind of shows like almost like movement. So it's really, it pulls you in to look at it and look where it's going.
Kind of like a V shape kind of
Yeah, yeah. I look at that pose of him on one knee singing. I mean, that, and of course there's the cover of the Elvis album.
Now the thing is, funnily enough, Elvis didn't actually wear that suit at Madison Square Garden.
Mm-hmm.
Which, to me, does not make sense. Because why would you put a suit on a Madison Square Garden album that you didn't wear at Madison Square Garden?
Maybe they just thought that was the best picture. I mean, because there's a brilliant pose to it and stuff, but interesting that that's not even from the Madison Square Garden album.
Yeah.
Wow. So what's your take on that suit?
Now, I'm going to let you into a little secret. Only between me and you in the Elvis Nation.
Yeah.
I have actually got this jumpsuit.
Get out of here. Do you have to... How does that work to get something like that? Are there companies that make like these suits for people?
So B&K Enterprises.
Uh-huh.
The two gentlemen there, Gene Doucette and Bill Ballou. Bill Ballou unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago, but Gene Doucette was Elvis's designer, and he's there at B&K Enterprises. And so when you're getting the suit, it's actually being designed by him, and it's being made by him.
I mean, I gotta really work my diet before I order one of those, man. I'm not a performer.
I can just imagine you in the American Eagle on like July 4th. Like, yeah, hi guys, no big deal, but here I am in the American Eagle jumpsuit. Like, it's way too big. You know, all the stones are falling off, but it's fine. Here we go. Okay, I'm sorry, but petition to get Brent in an Elvis jumpsuit, please. Yes, please.
No. Don't listen to him. He has no idea what he's talking about. I want to gain viewers, not lose them. And no. Anyway, moving on to the next one. Now this is a lot more of a low-key design compared to some of the other ones. Not as ostentatious. So what is this one I'm looking at?
So this is the Adonis suit, most known as the Comet suit. And he wore it a total of 4 times over the span of June and November of 1972. Now, Elvis first wore the suit in New York on June 9th, 72, which was the opening night of his 4 shows in Madison Square Garden.
Mm-hmm.
And Elvis last wore the suit on November 9th, 1972 in Tucson, Arizona. Now, there's a song about Tucson, Arizona, but I'm not going to burst into song.
Okay.
There's a song about Tucson, Arizona.
Get Back?
Get Back, yeah.
Yeah, Beatles. And and it's actually, and I know it's funny because a lot of Americans mispronounce a lot of British cities and stuff, but it's actually just Tucson.
Oh, Tucson. Oh.
Yep. That's okay, though. You're not from here, so you get a pass. I can't tell you how many times I mispronounce names in Scotland and England, and they just laugh at me. And
No. Well, to be honest, right, where I'm from in England, like no one's even heard of it.
Oh yeah.
Which no one even from England has ever heard of it. I'm like, fair enough.
Okay, I'm seeing a blue suit again. Is this the same blue suit from before?
No. This is called the wheat suit, and Elvis wore the wheat suit a total of 4 times over the span of June 1972 to February 1973, actually. And Elvis first wore the suit in New York at the afternoon show on June 10th, 1972 in Madison Square Garden. And Elvis last wore the suit during the dinner show in Las Vegas, Nevada on February 18th, 1973, which is my birthday, actually. 30 years. 30 years to the day, actually, my birthday, which is amazing.
You know, it's interesting seeing him in a jumpsuit when he's posing with people because it's so contrasting to people's everyday clothing. It even sticks out more. Do you know what I mean?
And pen. Yeah, and that picture is Elvis wore the belt, the suit with 2 belts. The multi-belt, which is from the Madison Square Garden, and then the original blue belt, which is that picture with the fans.
Oh wow! Just now, okay. When you look at there's the last picture in this series where he kind of has his arms. It almost looks like he's in flight.
Yeah.
What a pose! What a pose! And you get to kind of see it from a little different angle here. Just look at the belt, though. How I mean, it's really a tall belt. Oh wow! Just amazing stuff. So, what's your take on the suit itself?
It's a great suit, and now there was actually 2 albums produced from the MSG run. No, 3 actually. Yeah, 3. We've got Prince from Another Planet, An Afternoon in the Garden, and then Elvis has recorded at MSG. Now, Prince from Another Planet and Afternoon in the Garden, the suits on there is from MSG, but the Elvis as recorded at Madison Square Garden isn't from Madison Square Garden, which just confused.
Oh wow, I like it too. I think it's fun to look at. It's yeah, and I think it just the design just kind of really pulls you in on the way it's just.
It's very subtle, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's very exciting.
Very much so, definitely. Okay, Dylan, I'm looking at a suit with a bunch of squares with circles embedded within those squares. What in the heck is this?
This is the Red Isle suit, is what it is. And he wore the suit a total of 4 times over the span of June and September of 1972. Elvis first wore the suit during the evening show on June 10th in New York in Madison Square Garden. And then that show was the most famous during the Madison Square Garden shows. And then Elvis last wore the suit at the midnight show on September 2nd, 1972 in Las Vegas, Nevada. Now this suit was worn with 2 different belts. It was worn with the white pinwheel belt for the 3 shows in June of 72. And then while it was worn with the red Russian Eagle belt for the final time in September of 72.
Yeah, because if you look at the mannequin photo, there's no belt, and I think it feels like it's almost like naked without a belt. And so when you do see him with the belt on, it just seems to take on a whole different life of its own. And because I admit, just looking at the mannequin picture, I don't know, I wasn't liking something about it, but I don't know what I wasn't liking about it. But yet when I look at that picture of Elvis on stage with the belt, all of a sudden, with the cape on, it's awesome.
Now, shall I let you in for another secret?
Yeah.
Now, remember how last time I said that there's a suit that I almost got?
Yes.
But I didn't because I got another suit, right? Well, this suit, the Islet, is the one down game. So you will be seeing me in this jumpsuit very soon.
Now, Dylan, here we go with, this is the one you talked to us about, so I'm just going to hand it over to you because this seems to be your baby over here.
Oh, hey, baby. This is the blue swirl suit, and he wore it a total of 4 times over the span of June 1972 and April 73. Now, Elvis first wore the suit in Fort Wayne, Indiana on June 12, 1972. And it was last worn in Seattle, Washington during the afternoon show on April 29th, 1973. Now, excuse me, this suit was worn with 3 different belts. The first time it was worn with the mirror belt on June 12th, 1972. And then it was worn with the blue fringe belt on August 24th and September 3rd of 72. And then it was worn with the original belt for the final time in Seattle on April 29th, 73.
Wow, I mean, there is just, man, you know what? I know sometimes we can split hairs on things, but this is not one of them because I'm on your wavelength with this. There is just something. Now, it's funny because I think the first picture with Elvis performing, it wasn't as clearly shot, so the blue wasn't as colorful as because probably the filters in the camera or whatever. But you look to the mannequin picture here.
Yeah.
It is majestic. It is a shade of blue that is just, it's just amazing. It is just almost like too good in some ways.
Now this suit holds a very special place in my heart because this was one of the first suits that I actually ever saw.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The picture of him in the fringe belt with no scarf. That's one of the first suits one of the first pictures I ever saw.
Yeah.
I'm disclaiming now. Hands down my favourite of this series so far.
Okay, now Dylan, we're now back to a white scheme, and it kind of almost looks like it has a Mexican, like Aztec design to it. What exactly is this?
So this is the Thunderbird. And Elvis wore the Thunderbird suit a total of 5 times over the span of November 72 to June 73. It was first worn in Oakland, California on November 11th, 1972. And it was last worn in Atlanta, Georgia during the afternoon show on June 30th, 1973.
Of course, I'm going to be honest with you. This is really hard because we just witnessed what I believe was almost like the gold standard suit, okay?
Yeah.
And so anything that's going to come after that has to be equally or 20 times more impressive. And don't get me wrong, in its own right, I like this.
But it's just not the blue swirl, is it?
No, it is not.
Let's be honest.
Now, first of all, before I even talk about the suit, I got to talk about Elvis's pose in this picture. It is just fierce, like he's a superhero. I mean, he's a titan. And this is
this is called the Conquistador. I really hope.
Oh, Conquistador.
Right. Conquistador, yeah. And I was wore the Conquistador a total of 2 times in November of 72. It was first worn in San Bernardino, California on November 12th, 1972, and it was the last one in Honolulu, Hawaii during the afternoon show on November 18th, 1972. Now, the thing about that show is that was originally going to be the Aloha from Hawaii special. And
really?
Yeah, but when Elvis watched the footage back, he didn't like it. So they went back a couple months later and created the iconic Aloha from Hawaii special. But can you imagine what it would have been like to see Elvis on satellite television wearing that black suit with the red cape just shining out?
Yeah, especially if you look at the mannequin shot, which kind of gives a much clearer. It's a lot more luminous in this shot, which I gotta admit I like it. It's a little too busy on top for me, but I still like it.
Now I like it a lot. I really do like it. But as I said, it's not the blue swirl.
We're moving on to now we're back to a blue scheme again, and
yeah,
I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not liking this as much.
No?
I mean, don't get me wrong. Okay, when I say I don't like it as much, it means I like it, but it's not giving me that awe factor that just like totally stops me dead in my tracks. I mean, it's nice, but
it's not the blue swirl, is it?
No, it is not,
nice,
sir.
It's not the blue swirl. Alright, this is the Tiffany suit. And Elvis wore the Tiffany a total of 3 times, from November 72 to April 73. So Elvis first wore the suit in Long Beach, California on November 14th, 72, and he last wore the suit during the afternoon show on April 25th, 73 in Fresno, California?
Mm-hmm.
Fresno? Yeah. Now this suit was worn with a different belt each time. It was first worn with a 1969 gold attendance belt on November 14th, 1972. And then it was worn with the multi-belt during the evening show on November 18th, 1972. And then it was last worn with the blue original belt on April 25th, 1973. I think the multi-belt works best with the suit. Now the thing is, I do like the gold belt with it, but I think the multi-belt works best.
Yeah, I do too. Okay, and this is the last suit in this series. What am I looking at, Dylan?
We're looking at the Saturn suit, often known as the Planet suit, and Elvis wore this a total of 2 times, from November 1972 to February 1973, and it was first worn in Long Beach, California on November 15th, 1972, and it was last worn at an unknown date in February of 1973 in Vegas. Now, the first time Elvis wore the suit was with the 69 gold attendance belt. Well, the last time it was worn with the original belt.
Yeah, no, another one. This is another interesting one where we see a side profile.
It's very spacious, excuse the pun. It's very like it just reminds you of space, and it's a very good suit. But as I said, it's no blissful.
What's your take on the belt here?
I like the original belt better than the gold belt, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, I think I do too, actually. I think it just complements the suit more. It kind of fits in with it. It sticks out a little, but yet not too much. It kind of runs along the thematic. I want to thank Dylan for showing up and taking us through 1972. What a photogenic year with Elvis suits. And I think it's kind of obvious where you and I kind of arrived at our consensus as to what we thought really dominated this year.
Yeah, please well.
Definitely, all the way.
Yeah, all the way.
All right, thank you, Dylan. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Thank you very much, Dylan. We're going to step back for a little reaction. This time it'll be an interview. Elvis post-Army. Let's not waste any time.
Ready when you are. I'm always ready.
Okay, we're going to start at this. This is not part of the questioning, but did you get the black-eyed peas when you got home?
I haven't eaten anything yet.
Haven't eaten anything?
No. I've just been looking around more or less since I've been back.
Now, to get down to the serious side of it, Elvis, now that the Army's part of the past, can you give us in detail some of your future plans?
Well, the first thing I have to do is to cut some records. And then after that, I have the television show with Frank Sinatra. And then I have the picture with Mr. Wallace. And then after that, I have 2 for 20th Century Fox. And after that, heaven knows, I don't. I suppose it'll keep me busy the rest of this year, you know. After that, I don't know.
All that in a
Well,
year?
Elvis, now you're really home. How does it feel?
It's pretty hard to describe, I'll tell you. It's hard to get used to, you know. I mean, I've been looking forward to it for 2 years, and all of a sudden, here it is. It's not easy to adjust to it.
Now that you are back, as you look back on your 2 years in the service, what was the most important thing that happened to you during your 2 years, whether it was overseas or here in the States?
Well, there were a number of things that happened. I had quite a few interesting experiences. Slept out in the snow. HC rations, you know, all the regular thing. But I suppose the biggest thing of all is the fact that I did make it. I made it just like everybody. I mean, I tried to play it straight, you know, like everybody else. And I made a lot of friends that I never would have made otherwise. And all in all, it's been a pretty good experience, you know.
Elvis, you still have time to serve now for Uncle Sam. Have you given any thought as to where you're going to serve your reserve training?
Well, sir, I will be on the reserve status here in Memphis at the Reserve Center here. But they have a clause which covers people with traveling jobs. If you have a traveling job or if you live too far away from your reserve center, they put you on standby. Whereas you don't have to make their meetings, but you are subject to be called at any emergency or anything of that nature.
Elvis, one of your future commitments, as you mentioned, is the Frank Sinatra show on the ABC television network. Do you have any idea of when this will be aired?
Okay, being that this is over 10 minutes, I'm going to forget things if I don't ask him now. Did he ever record that thing with Sinatra? I don't remember ever hearing about it. Please let me know. That's interesting.
I really don't know the exact date. I would imagine it's somewhere around the 1st of May.
If you'll forgive me, I have one other part to my question. We understand, speaking of Frank Sinatra, that there has been some rumor about Nancy Sinatra and yourself. Is there a romance in the making here?
No, sir, I'm afraid not. I only met her in Fort Dix, and she gave me a gift from Frank, and it was very brief. I think she's engaged to Tommy Sands. I don't think he would appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Elvis, you think the music has changed since you've been out of the service? I mean, since you've been in the service?
Possibly, yes. I can't say, really. I haven't been here long enough to even know. Excuse me. The only thing I can say is that if it has changed, well, I would be foolish not to try to change with it, you know. But as of now, I have no reason to change anything.
As to your acting, you have stated you would like to be a more serious actor. And do you plan to possibly go to some school or some dramatic school?
Well, it wouldn't hurt me any to go to school, but I learn best by experience. I never was very good in schools of any kind. And it's going to take me a long time and a lot of experience.
But that is your ultimate ambition?
But as at the present time, it really is. That's what I want to do.
Elvis, you were asked about Nancy Sinatra. How about any romance? Did you leave any heart, shall we say, in Germany?
Not any special one. There was a little girl that I was seeing quite often over there. That her father was in the Air Force, and
That's Priscilla.
actually they only got over there about 2 months before I left. I was seeing her, and she was at the airport when I left, and there were some pictures made of her, but it was no big romance. I mean, the stories came out, the girl he left behind, and, and all that. It wasn't like that. I mean, I had to be careful when I answer a question.
Elvis, in your service life, which did you find the most difficult, when you went into basic training, or when you got over into Germany, over with the experienced soldiers? Which gave you the hardest time?
Well, basic training wasn't hard for me at all. It was harder afterwards, after I had gotten into a regular outfit. Not the service itself, but just the surroundings, and I was in a strange land, and the outfit I was in, they had quite a bit of field duty. We stayed in the field 6 months out of the year. And it gets cold in Germany. It snows quite a bit. And it was pretty hard to adjust to.
One thing further on that, do you have any advice for the boys your age who are now going to have to put in a certain amount of duty in the service?
Well, the only thing I can say is to play it straight and to do your best, because you can't fight them. They've never lost yet, you know? And you can't fight them. So you can make it easy or you can make it hard on yourself. I mean, if you play it straight, get the people on your side, let them know you're trying, you as the Army would say, you've got it made. If you're going to try to be an individual or try to be different, you're going to go through 2 years of misery.
Elvis, when do you think you'll record again? And when you do you think you'll lean toward the ballad-type music or the more upbeat sounds?
Well, as far as when I'll record, I really don't know. Possibly this week or next week. And what I'll record, I don't know yet. I've got quite a few songs to choose from. I've collected over the 2 years, but I don't know exactly what type or what instruments I'll use, whether it be the Firestone Orchestra or Monty Vonnie or what. I really don't know yet. Shoot.
You said that at the train that that you wanted to get back to what you were doing, and of course that is singing and entertaining. And I tell you from that you really enjoy what you're doing or what you were doing before you went to service.
Oh yes, I do. In fact, that was the hardest part of the entire military service, is being away from it.
Being away from the fans and
just being away from show business altogether. That was the hardest part of all. It wasn't the Army, it wasn't the other men. It was that. It stayed on my mind. I kept thinking about the past all the time, contemplating the future, and
Elvis,
that was the hardest part.
We know your family status has changed since you went into service. Are you going to keep Graceland? Do you have plans of moving away from Memphis, or what?
No, sir, I have no plans for leaving Memphis.
And you're going to keep Graceland?
I'm going to keep Graceland as long as I possibly can.
You know, one thing that intrigues me about this, I'll forget if I don't mention this now, is that, you know, when you think of like badass hellfire rock and roller, he definitely had that kind of moxie, but yet he still retained a gentlemanly like thing, very convivial, and I think that's what made him such an interesting phenomenon. He lit the world on fire, but he also just squeezed it with love, you know, just a class act all the way through.
Well, was this Christmas tree a surprise?
Well, since it's March, it's a little surprise. That's the tree we used in 1957.
We can leave the Christmas tree long enough. About your tonsils and the tonsillectomy that you were contemplating while you were in the service, did you deliberately ask that it be held off until you could get to the United States and a local doctor?
No, sir.
Or did they improve that much?
I didn't ask that. They don't like to perform surgery of any kind in Europe. They don't like to. If it's an emergency, they will. But I took penicillin and wonder drugs or whatever they call them.
You had no recurrence, huh?
I had 2 attacks of tonsillitis when I was there.
Elvis, did you like the food over there outside of the Army? When you would go out, you know, did you like that type of food?
I never went out. Sorry.
You never ate out in a restaurant?
I never ate in a restaurant the entire time I was in Germany. It's funny. I either ate in the mess hall or at home. One of the two. I never, in fact, I never went anywhere while I was in Europe except to Paris. I went to Paris and on a leave, and that was all.
Now, how did the fans respond to you over there as compared to here in the States?
Well, it's a pretty difficult question to answer because anything I'll say, it might sound a little like I'm bragging, you know. But it was pretty much the same there as here.
They had seen a lot of your movies.
And the records and so forth. I'd like to go back on a tour over there someday, all of Europe.
Oh, that would have been great.
Because the only thing they know about me is what they've read, records and the movies and so forth.
Elvis, this is not in the form of a question, but I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you home for everybody in Memphis and the South.
Oh, thank you. You'll never know how happy I am to be here. Someone asked me this morning, what did I miss about Memphis? And I said, everything.
I asked that question on the train this morning, and
We used it several times, and you said anything you mentioned about Memphis that I missed that much.
Well, sir, I've been here for quite a while, about 14 or 15 years now. I pretty well know Memphis. I thought I did till I drove home. You know.
John, if we get any more now, I'll have to start charging you.
Elvis had to feel to come all the way into the station on the train for the first time.
Huh?
How did it feel to come all the way to your destination on the train? You normally get over.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't. Oh, I know what you're talking about now. Escape and evasion, they call it in the Army. But, I don't know. I mean, I was hoping there'd be some, people there at the station. And, I knew there'd be a lot of my friends there, personal friends. And, I wanted to come into the station. I wouldn't have gotten off anywhere else, I mean, this time is different.
If we'd only known that yesterday.
How long do you think you'll be back in Memphis, recuperating or getting adjusted back to civilian life?
I would say a couple of weeks. That's about all.
Thank you.
Okay, is that all?
You guys thought I'd probably forget about the Wonder Wheel. Well, I haven't. Here we go. Let's step into the gaming room. And welcome to the Elvis Nation Show Wonder Wheel. This is how it works. If you have left a comment on the previous episode, your name is automatically placed on the Wonder Wheel for the next episode. I spin the wheel and whoever's name lands gets a free Elvis song reaction of their choice that will air within 1 or 2 to 3 days after they win. Now, the winner must visit the comment section of this episode and list 1 request and 2 alternates in case I've already reacted to 1 or 2 of them. Good luck, everybody. Okay, let's see who wins today. Hot Rod Catman. You just got yourself a request that will be pushed to the front of the line, so please leave it on the message board of today's episode. Congrats. I've had the privilege of interviewing so many amazing Elvis fans, and Lesley Pilling, I've been such an admirer from afar. It was just been a sheer pleasure getting to know her, and when we were able to have an interview together, I was just elated because of the work that she does with the Circle G Foundation, everything. It's just, she is such a major contribution to the Elvis Presley legacy. A person who gives of so much of herself in such a selfless way. Just really one of the heroes of the Elvis preservation effort. And so I hope you enjoy this interview with the great Lesley Pilling. Oh my God, I am here with Lesley Pilling of the Circle G Foundation. I just been waiting so long to dive into this. There's just been so much stuff going on lately, and I officially welcome you, Lesley, to the Elvis Nation Show. How have you been doing?
I've been doing very well, thank you. Very busy, but I'm great, thank you. Yeah, good to be here.
I am so happy to have you. I mean, I'm telling you what, you always have great stuff to say in the comment sections. There's just, I don't even know where to begin with you because, there's the writing, there's the work that you do at the Circle G Foundation. However, I'm going to start with something I ask everybody. What was the last Elvis song you listened to?
So Close and Yet So Far, from Harem Scarum.
Oh wow! Was it like a random song played, or were you listening to the soundtrack? Or
it's on my play repeat list. I do get obsessed with certain songs.
Oh, I get that.
I'm going back to it. I can't help it.
The other day, I wanted to watch on YouTube. For some reason, I'm just entranced with Can't Help Falling in Love, the closing of Elvis on Tour. And I actually just said to myself, you just watched this 14 times. So I'm not alone. You don't make me feel so weird right now. Like, he has that effect though? Have you ever done that where you're like, I can't just stop. I got to go back.
Michelle did a reaction, Elvis Last Michelle did a reaction a few weeks ago to Turn Around, Look at Me. And it was a really short clip from a concert in 75, and he never sang it complete. And I must have watched that 50 times since she did that reaction. I am just obsessed.
But I'm telling you what's so cool about Michelle is I think that even if you didn't like Elvis, her spirit is so affable, her spirit is so genuine that you will love Elvis even if you didn't like him before, because she has a way of bringing it on. She has a grace about her.
She draws you in.
Yes. It's almost like hypnotic, because she just, watching her, it's like I explained it when I had her on the show. You can't fake genuineness like that.
No way. And it's the emotion as well. She's very emotional when she does it. I mean, I am. That, we're very kindred spirits in that sense. And the way she emotes over a song, it's great. I love it.
I do too. And I said, I'm kind of envious that she has that, because I feel like Leon and I joked about this before. Leon is very cerebral. I think I'm kind of a mix. I'm like halfway toward Michelle, halfway toward Leon. I can go cerebral, but I could also just try to fight back the tears as I listen to something. And it's hard sometimes. It is, because, I don't know, something about guys aren't supposed to cry or something. But so that's what you last listened to. I'm going to bounce around here, because this is, I do that instead of going total linear, I'm going to tell you what, speaking of crying, and I'm running it on this episode, that Circle G Foundation video, the music, oh my God, you sent it to me on the email, and I'm trying to think like, God, why am I crying right now? I'm not going through menopause. Guys don't have menopause. What is going on here? What a triumph.
Thank you. The guys, the team in Memphis, they organised it for me. The only specific I had was that I want the background music to be The Impossible Dream, because that's always been our Circle G Foundation song, And I said, but we can't use Elvis, because YouTube will just kick us off if we use that, and I won't be able to share it like I want to. So find an instrumental version of The Impossible Dream and use that. But when I first watched the video, I played it 3 times before I saw it all the way through, because I couldn't see the screen for tears. I was just
I wasn't expecting that. I thought it was going to be a short little hi. We're here at the so-and-so. And all of a sudden this music starts flowing into my headphones. And then I'm thinking of the love that you guys had for Elvis. It's kind of like getting me weird right now, because the selfless act. And you know what's funny? A lot of times, I don't care how big you are at one point, history will go out of its way to forget you. You have to fight to keep even, you go up to a young person today and ask them who Charlie Chaplin is. You gotta educate some of them who it is. So it's important that things get preserved, because history is like that tidal wave or something that will just wash it away, and it will just go off into the ether or something. And I thought of the way you guys all worked together. And I got to admit, though, I was upset during that video, because that you couldn't have been there.
I desperately wanted to, and I just couldn't. They were, at the time, the US, they're not yet, but you're not letting us in from the UK until November. And the guys said, well, we'll wait. And I said, no, we've got the marker. The marker's got to go up. But then they did something very special, and what they wanted to do was surprise me. Because the date went up, the 8th of September was my 60th birthday.
Wow. What do you do? Wash your face in the fountain of youth? Get out of here. I thought you were like my age or something. Okay.
On the 8th of September.
God bless you.
And the guys wanted to surprise me, but they needed to run something by me to make it happen. And they said, look, we're sorry, but you're going to have to know it's happening on your birthday. But that made it extra special, and I think that's one of the reasons I cried and cried and cried when I saw the video.
Oh my God. And you know what? It just, I remember when you first reached out, like one of the first times we kind of swapped replies on the comment section, you mentioned this. And like, see, this is how important it is with history, because I was a new Elvis fan pretty much at that time, and I wasn't even aware of really the ranch or its history. And you know what? I didn't notice until like the first time you showed me your Facebook page, how the logo says about the king, the cowboy. I just thought that was so perfect, and I felt like that was like a precursor to like Michael Jackson with Neverland or something. It was Elvis's place where he could go and be himself and have communion with his own spirit away from everything. And it's just sad that he didn't have it for as many years as he could have.
It is a consolation. Yes, originally it was sold in 1969, but it defaulted back to Elvis, and he owned it until 1972. And even after that, we've got documented evidence that he used to go back and take people back and visit. And he called it his ranch. One of the girls that lived there with her parents in 1972 or 73 were getting ready for church one Sunday morning, and the car pulled in, and it was Elvis with two guys, and I think it might have been Linda Thompson. And he said, would it be okay if I showed them around? And they said, yes, it'll be fine, but on the way out, can you sign an autograph for us? He said, yes, no problem at all. And he did that frequently. He used to take people to look at his ranch, as he called it. You know, it held a special place in his heart. It really did. It really did.
Yeah, you know, and I'm thinking of all that he did for culture and stuff. You think that the state would have just said, you know, hey, listen, for all that you've done, your service and all that in the Army, just you can have the ranch. That's our way of thanking you for giving us years of joy in years. I don't know. I just because I started looking into a lot of it after you kind of turned me on to what the ranch was all about and what it meant to Elvis and all that. And I just felt like that was just such a part of him. It was an extension of him. And you know, and because I have some video clips of that I put together in my intros and showed like Elvis on a horse and stuff. And now I was able to put the context that this was him being happy. This was him finding that joy that I think when you're a public figure and you have so many demands and all that, you do need your kind of own place that you have a solitude and I think what you guys are doing is amazing, because I think to people who are seasoned Elvis fans, it's a known fact about the ranch. It's all that. But I'm telling you what, to the casual Elvis person who's only heard, you know, the hits on the radio and hasn't really begun, it's an important chapter in his legacy. And you guys are making that possible. And so with the foundation, how did that all come about?
Well, I think it was the third time I'd been to Memphis. It was 2010, and we were on a tour of the Elvis sites, and it was the first time that I'd actually been to the ranch. And I got off the bus, and obviously I've been an Elvis fan since I was 7 years old. You know, he's been a part of my life for as long as I can practically remember. And I stood there, and I knew what the ranch meant to him. And I looked at the cottage, and there were holes in the roof. It's falling down, you know, and something hit me. And I said, I'm going to do something about this. I cannot let this happen. I can't. And I've said since, I sort of made a promise to Elvis, I'll do something. I will. I'll do my best. I'll do my absolute best to save this and have your time here commemorated and recognised. So I came home at the end of the week, and I set up a Facebook page, and I contacted some of my close Elvis friends and said, are you jumping on board? Are we creating a team that we can all work together and spread the word? So within days, we had thousands of people from all over the world who'd clicked like, who'd messaged us, everything. So I set up a strategy then to say, we've got to reach out now. We've got to tell people about this. So I contacted people like Joe Esposito. I contacted Sonny West. I contacted Linda Thompson, Sam Thompson, Charles Stone, who I already knew, Charles Stone, Elvis's tour producer. And they all sent messages back, fabulous messages, amazing messages of support, how much it meant to Elvis. And I filed all those and I posted them. And eventually we ended up with ambassadors. I sort of took on ambassadors on every continent. And we ended up with 50 ambassadors worldwide who were promoting the ranch and what the ranch meant and what we wanted and what we were trying to do. And it just snowballed. It just snowballed and snowballed. I ended up going to Denmark, doing a presentation at Memphis Mansion in Randers over there, you know, and we had events with it. But I know you've said that seasoned Elvis fans would know about the ranch. You'd be surprised.
Oh, really?
You'd be surprised how many didn't. I've been a fan for so long, and I didn't.
Oh, wait, you mean there were some people who were proclaimed Elvis fans that weren't really aware of the ranch's history?
No. Which blew my mind. I mean, you know, when you think of the time of his life when he had it, he was married. He just got married. He was an expectant father. He was tired of the movies and he wanted a change. So can you imagine what the guy was thinking when he was riding out on his horse on the ranch? He must have had all sorts going through his head. What am I going to do next? Where am I going to go? I'm a family man now, you know.
Yeah, he was at a pivotal point in his life, and you go through these like things every 10 years, like this is where I've been, what's my next thing. And I think too, he wanted to kind of get back in touch with his artistry again. You know, the movies kind of is what it might have provided him with income, but it felt like it kind of stifled his creativity in some ways. But here's the thing, we know in retrospect, he went on to Vegas and he ended up killing it awesome in the 70s, but he didn't have the foresight back then of where he was going.
It was all unknown. It was complete unknown quantity. What was going to happen next? You know, if he stopped the movies, would he have a music career? You know, he was just at a crossroads. And you've only got to stand on the ranch now, and you walk through those gates and stand there, and you understand how peaceful it is, and what solace it must have been for Elvis. You know, and how it gave him the ability to think about things, you know, quietly. I mean, Priscilla said, she's on record for saying it's the happiest she saw him, you know, and that's documented. She's written that down. She said it on interviews. It was the happiest place she saw him was at the Circle G. And that means a lot. You know, when you love Elvis, that means a lot.
Yeah, and I think also what's interesting about that is that we have so many conventional ideas about Elvis. There's 70s Elvis, there's Army Elvis and all that, but why isn't like Rancher Elvis, you know, like why isn't that as much of a iconic persona as the other things? I think it's interesting. I think it's fascinating, actually. What I liked about what you said, though, when I first went to your Facebook, there was a part where you said in one of your posts that you didn't just say, I vow to do this. You said, I made a promise to Elvis. And that was kind of spine tingling. It was like as if you locked in with his spirit and said, I am going to do this.
I felt it. I really did. I mean, people say they feel Elvis at Graceland when you go to Graceland. Yes, you do. I felt him at the ranch. I literally felt him there.
Did you?
I did. Something happened. Something touched me on August 11th, 2010. Something happened. You know, and I've been doing it for 11 years now, so it must have been pretty.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, but like you spearheaded an effort in a different country of, you know what I mean? Usually it's local communities or maybe at most out of state people in the U.S. who try to go for a landmark status about something. But was it extra challenging to have to kind of coordinate that from where you were living?
And and I got quite a bit of, I got quite a few comments from people within the US saying, why is somebody from the UK doing this? Why? And I turned around and said, well, nobody else is doing it. They've tried in the past, but they never got anywhere. But this is the thing, this is what I harp on about, and it's one of my things. Elvis's fandom is international. And
it doesn't know borders. Yeah.
No. Sometimes people who are close in geographical terms, they don't understand. They've never experienced the Elvis fandom outside the confines of the US, and it's phenomenal, Brent. It's phenomenal. The things we, Australia. I've been to meetings in Australia. I've been to Denmark. There's girls in Brazil. There's, it's just phenomenal.
I would say it's even more so because, look at it this way. On my show, with my fan interviews, I've only interviewed one American, and I found that to be the opposite here. It's like a lot of people here aren't as into Elvis. They're more into the Beatles in America. And so, I'm noticing that Elvis, like his European following is massive, yet around here, unless if it's like some person that loved him at the time when they were teenagers in the 50s or something, you don't really find that many in Detroit, Michigan that are just either that or they're quiet. But I'm telling you what, I look at my analytics all the time. I have more of an actual international audience than I do an American audience.
Yeah. I mean, that's been the case with the Circle G Foundation. The support, 90% of the support has come from the international fans. And I produced a document back in 2012, our vision for the ranch. And part of it, what I still would like to see happen, is have international weeks on the ranch, that tie in with special dates for certain countries,
that would be awesome.
Yeah, and have let's say Christmas, a German Christmas market, because of Elvis's time in Germany. And, different things like that. I've just got so many ideas. It's just, it's just crazy. But,
you know what? I think as patriotic as I am, I also, there's some detractor aspects about American culture. Is sometimes when you're a predominant culture when it comes to influencing fads and stuff, you kind of tend to surround yourself in a bubble of ignorance about the greater world beyond you. And I like to be a cultural sponge. Like if I'm going to come and visit you and a bunch of other Elvis fans in the UK, I don't want to go to McDonald's. I want to have a proper breakfast of wherever I'm at. If I'm in Germany, I want to do it as the Germans do. But a lot of Americans don't have that. We're kind of insular. You would think for a big country, but we can be insular at times.
Happens with big countries because you don't have to look outward as much. In the UK, obviously, we're a small island, so we've always had to look out and branch out. Whereas America, Australia, such big countries, you can look internally and survive without having too many influences from other places. So I understand it. It's frustrating, but I understand it. I really do.
It is. I'm telling you what, on my other reaction channel, there's a Portuguese style of music that I was never exposed to. Someone recommended this video one day. It ended up getting 57,000 views from people in Portugal. And they were just so mystified that an American was totally getting in to that kind of music. And I just think some people, it depends on your personality too. I love talking with people from other places. I want to learn about the way they view the world. That's why I like to watch news from other countries. I love the BBC. I love all that stuff because it kind of takes you out of your box. And so what I'm finding about this Elvis consciousness is what I call it, is that what you said, there are no boundaries, there are no borders, because Elvis has a universal spirit and I'm not aggrandizing, I really believe that there is something that you and we could have someone from Nigeria, someone from Greenland, we could all be in a room and be so moved by something he's playing.
Yeah, that's right. And it creates this family.
Yeah.
And that's what you find when you go to Vigil Night in Elvis Week. You know, there are people there, well, there weren't this year, but never mind. There are people there from around the world. And no matter who you turn and talk to, you are all there for the same reason. You were all there for the love of that man.
Yeah, and I think, you know, when we were reviewing the Elvis and Me reaction special, I think I knew going in it was going to kind of be a hack job. I mean, you're doing a one-person perspective kind of thing, and I think that when I'm watching that and his behavior in that, and then I'm watching, I just reacted to a Leon production that we were doing, First Take to Master, and you hear Elvis laughing and joking around with the personnel. Gee, very different than the guy that was being portrayed. And like you said, it's tabloid and all that. And I know that's the good, bad, and the ugly we got to put up with. But I think that's another thing that is striking about him beyond the music was his sense of humor.
Fabulous sense of humor. Nobody's got a laugh like Elvis.
No.
Nobody. I did a post on my Facebook page a few days ago. I heard somebody say, or refer to Elvis as, Elvis is home. And I said, yeah, that struck a chord with me because Elvis is home for me. If I'm feeling down, I listen to Elvis. If I'm feeling I want to be cheered up, I listen to Elvis laughing on Are You Lonesome Tonight or Dating. You know, he's just home. It's just where I go.
It really is. And, you know, because when I started doing reaction videos, Elvis was just one of the many people I did. And then all of a sudden I'm noticing I keep going back to Elvis. I keep going. Not that I didn't like other artists or anything, but there's something about Elvis that's just a little bit different. It's a more of a transcendence or something of the soul kind of thing, because then it started out, well, every Sunday I'm going to do Elvis and I don't know why I'm doing it. I love it. I can't get enough of it. Then I said, you know what, forget that. I'm going to make this whole an all Elvis channel. And it was a silly move at the time. If you look at some of the numbers I was doing, and I said, oh God, I'm shooting my foot. And I go, I wouldn't change it for anything. I am so happy doing this kind of stuff. I live for it. And I think with Elvis, I can't get enough of it. Like, okay, do you ever watch something that Elvis did that was funny? And even though you've seen it 10 million times, you still laugh, like when he's like, shove it up your nose, you know, like during Suspicious Minds or whatever. I still laugh at that each time.
Every time. And he gets this twinkle in his eye. You can see it coming. You know, all right, I know it's coming now. Great, I've been watching him for 53 years. But, you know, you say, wait for it. It's coming. You know, it's on its way. But that's what he does. He grabs you. He absolutely grabs it. And that's the thing I think about the Circle G Foundation. What it's done for me, it's made me understand Elvis as a person more. I feel like I know the person more.
I think you hit on something there, because there are a lot of times we can respect someone's talent, like this guy's a good actor or she's a good writer, but I wouldn't really care to know them in real life. I wouldn't even really care to walk across the street to talk with them. Elvis is one of those people that I have as much affection for him as a person as I do an artist.
He was, you know, we all have our faults. You know, nobody's perfect. But the more I speak to people, and I've spoken to a lot who knew him, who spent time with him, I think, oh, I just wished I could have spent 5 minutes in his company. Just 5 minutes. And I once said, they portray Elvis towards the end of his life as this recluse who was always depressed and blah, blah. The people I've spoken to, I've asked everyone, what's the truth about what he was like? I know he was sick. I know he was ill. I know. And when you're ill, you get down, you get bad-tempered. We all do it. I said, tell me what. And he said, he was fun. He was fun. He had a sense of humour. He liked fun, and he never lost that.
Well, okay, yeah, and you know what, too? This whole thing of, oh, he had temper at times and all that. I'm sorry, is there any one of us that haven't? I've thrown something across the room before in anger. I was so pissed off. I got in yelling matches with ex-girlfriends. And I come across as this happy-go-lucky nice guy, and I am that, but I also have my human moments. I get frustrated. And I go, why is it that we expect these people to be perfect or something? And when I say I love Elvis as a person, that's the whole package. His up and downs. I just love that human being.
Exactly. And more people need to know about that human being, and all the facets of him. That's one of the things that I bang on about, his humanitarian and charitable legacy. That's one of the things that the Circle G Foundation, we home in on, That was such a big part of Elvis's life. From being a child, giving toys away when he was dirt poor. And he'd give a toy to a friend because he wanted him to have it, to make him happy. And that just carried on his whole life. That was him, and I think it's so important that people know about that side of him. I really do.
Yeah, and I think... And thank you very much, Lesley. Now, for the grand finale of season 1, very special reaction put together. I was privileged enough to be granted permission to react to the Circle G Foundation video. Just such an auspicious occasion. And all I'm going to tell you is you might want to have a tissue handy. Let's do it.
Hello, my name's Lesley, and I'm the founder and director of the Circle G Foundation. Welcome to this video to celebrate the dedication of the State Historic Marker at Elvis's Circle G Ranch, which took place on September 8, 2021. The Circle G Ranch is situated a few minutes' drive from Graceland, just across the border in Horn Lake, Mississippi. Elvis came across the ranch quite by accident. He saw the magnificent 55-foot cross, and it made a big impression on him. As impulsive as ever, he decided he wanted to buy the ranch, and Elvis became the proud owner of Twinkletown Farm in February 1967. He quickly changed its name officially to the Flying Circle G, but to this day it is known as Elvis's Circle G Ranch. It's a beautiful place, 154 acres of undulating pasture, with a stunning lake crossed by a white bridge. You may have seen a photograph of Elvis and Priscilla near the bridge. There's a pretty cottage at the edge of the property known as the Honeymoon Cottage. Elvis quickly set about buying trucks for the guys and purchased trailers so they could all spend leisure time together on the ranch. Elvis and Priscilla had a trailer to the rear of the cottage. He also moved the horses and equine equipment from Graceland to the Circle G. On May 1st, 1967, Elvis and Priscilla were married in Las Vegas and spent the first part of their honeymoon in Palm Springs. On their return home, they soon made their way back to the Circle G. It has been widely documented how much Elvis loved the ranch. It was his sanctuary, a place where he could escape from being Elvis Presley. Somewhere he could saddle up his favourite horses, ride over the beautiful fields, and just be Elvis for a while. Of course, there are stories of lots of fun times too, hitching up a boat to a tractor and towing people around the ranch, fishing, skeet shooting, snake hunts, picnics and barbecues. But much to Elvis's disappointment, and under pressure to return to Hollywood, and increasing concerns over his spending at the ranch, all brought his time there to an end much sooner than he would have liked. The ranch was sold in May 1969, but returned to Elvis's ownership, and was finally sold in December 1972. He loved the Circle G and always referred to it as his ranch. He returned many times for informal visits after 1972, just to show friends his special place. In the grand scheme of things, Elvis only spent a short period of time on the ranch. but consider what a significant period in his life that was. He was a newly married man, an expectant father, and a man approaching and considering a crossroads in his career. Priscilla has said it is the one place she believes he found peace. If that isn't a reason to treasure his time there, I don't know what is. When I founded the 𝗣𝗔𝗥𝗧 Foundation in 2010, I promised to do what I could to raise the awareness of the plight of the ranch. But perhaps equally as important, I promised to have Elvis's time there celebrated and commemorated. We also pledged to celebrate and continue Elvis's charitable and humanitarian legacy, which we have done. Over the last 11 years, we are very proud to have made several charitable donations in Elvis's name, and that is something we will continue to do, using Elvis's time at the 𝗣𝗔𝗥𝗧 as our inspirational beacon. In December 2019, we were very pleased to learn that the application by the ranch owners to have it listed on the National Register of Historic Places had been successful. And on September 8, 2021, after a lot of hard work, and with the amazing support and generosity of Elvis fans around the world, the 𝗣𝗥𝗧 Foundation made good our promise to have Elvis's tenure at the ranch commemorated for the whole world to see by sponsoring a state historic marker for Elvis's 𝗣𝗥𝗧 Ranch. It is the first Mississippi state marker to be sponsored internationally. We hope this is just the beginning. Please keep following and supporting the 𝗣𝗥𝗧 Foundation. Elvis will always be at the heart of everything we do and stand for. We'd love you to come along for the ride. So now enjoy the dedication ceremony for the historic state marker at Elvis's 𝗣𝗥𝗧 Ranch. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Danny Bird. On behalf of Elvis Presley and the 𝗣𝗥𝗧 Ranch and the 𝗣𝗥𝗧 Foundation, I would like to introduce today Mayor Alan Latimer.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Welcome to the wonderful city of Horn Lake in the great state of Mississippi, the Magnolia State. The three main genres in American music are the blues, country, and western, and of course rock and roll. And they all started right here in our beloved state. Jimmy Rogers, the singing brakeman, is the father of country music. B.B. King, of course, the king of the blues. And Mr. Elvis Presley, the man who combined them and helped create rock and roll, the king of rock and roll. We were privileged to have Elvis and his bride, Miss Priscilla, spend their honeymoon here in Horn Lake, Mississippi. But that's not surprising, because Elvis came from humble roots, and he never forgot that. He never tried to be an elitist. He remained a man of the people, that common touch. So he spent his honeymoon on basically a small farm, riding horses. This is where he came to reestablish contact with his roots. And it is a wonderful gesture to have this marvelous plaque here as a tangible, visible testimony to the life and legacy of a true gentleman.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for being here. My name is Donna Presley. First I'm going to read a message from Lesley Pilling, who was the driving force behind the marker and getting everything established. So as soon as I finish reading this, then I'll say a few words. A message from Lesley Pilling, founder and director of the 𝗣𝗥𝗧 Foundation, on the occasion of the dedication ceremony for the historical marker at Elvis Presley's 𝗣𝗥𝗧 Ranch. On behalf of the 𝗣𝗥𝗧 Foundation team, I would like to thank you for being here today on what is for the 𝗣𝗥𝗧 Foundation, the city of Horn Lake, and the 𝗣𝗥𝗧 Ranch a momentous day. I wanted to be there so badly, but travel restrictions have conspired against me. When I stood here at the 𝗣𝗥𝗧 on August 11, 2010, I made a promise to Elvis that I would do everything I could to have his time here at the ranch commemorated and celebrated. It's been a long road and we've had bumps and diversions, but today is the culmination of a lot of hard work and dedication to the cause by the whole team and the unwavering support of Elvis fans from around the world. Having this state historical marker for the ranch is, I hope, just the first step on our journey to celebrate Elvis's link with the city of Horn Lake. Mayor Latimer, we have things to talk about. The marker is the first Mississippi State historical marker to be sponsored internationally. We are very proud of that, and we hope that the city of Horn Lake is too. It would be remiss of me not to thank Mr. Prentice Thomas and Jan Campbell of HL3 for all their hard work in finally getting the ranch listed on the National Register of Historic Places in December 2019. It is a process the Circle G Foundation started in 2012, but as the ranch did not become eligible until 2017, 50 years after Elvis purchased the property, we could not continue the application process. We sincerely hope that the people who own the ranch will make good their promises to secure the future of the property and repair, preserve, and protect the elements that link Elvis with it before it is too late. I would like to thank the mayor and the city of Horn Lake for their continued encouragement and support, and we look forward to continuing our work together. Another debt of thanks goes to Mr. Jim Woodwick of the Mississippi Department of Archives and History for the assistance and guidance through the sponsorship process of the marker. I would like to thank Elvis's first cousin, Donna Presley, for her friendship and support. And believe me, Lesley, it is an honor to be standing here today on this beautiful and commemorative day to remember Elvis and the Circle G. So thank you. Thank you to 3 individuals here in the U.S. who have worked tirelessly to make today possible, and you know who you are. The biggest debt of gratitude goes to Elvis's incredible fans. As you will see from the sponsorship sign, a group of Danish fans led by Mr. Henrik Knudsen from the Memphis Mansion in Denmark were instrumental in reaching our fundraising goal more quickly than any of us had imagined possible due to their incredible donation. Thank you, Henrik, and all the friends in Denmark, or should I say tak, which is Danish for thank you. And thank you to all the fans who contributed. Elvis fans from every continent have supported our efforts from the very beginning back in 2010. And we would like to thank them and also thank them for their continued love of Elvis, who has touched all of our lives. And finally, I want to thank 2 men who have inspired, supported, and encouraged me, and continue to do so. That first is my late husband, Jim. He loved the ranch, and I could not have done this without his love and support. Frosty, this is for you. The second is Mr. Elvis Aaron Presley, a man I never met, but who continues to inspire me every day. He has been a part of my life since I was 7 years of age in 1968. A man who is not only the greatest entertainer and talent ever, but a humble man of humility and compassion for his fellow man. The world would be a better place if we were all a little more like him. Elvis, today I'm going to make you another promise, and you know I keep my promises. I pledge that the Circle G Foundation will continue to celebrate, commemorate, and continue your charitable, it's a little hard doing this, humanitarian legacy using your time at the Circle G Ranch as an inspirational beacon. The money remaining in the Historical Marker Fund and any donations received from between now and the end of the year will be donated to charity in the name and memory of Elvis Aaron Presley. This is just the first step. Thank you, Lesley. And on behalf of myself and the Presley family, I couldn't be more proud of the fact that I'm standing here today, which is what is a wonderful, momentous, and commemorative day, because Elvis loved the Circle G Ranch, and it held a lot of wonderful memories even after he sold it, not only for him, but for all of us who were able and fortunate enough to be able to celebrate that time and to live that life with him. So thank you so much, and God bless you each and every one.
Oh my God. Wow. Well, first of all,
hello, my name's Lesley, and I'm the founder and director of the
sorry.
Circle G Foundation. Welcome to this video.
You know, I'd like to think that that wind that was blowing during the commemoration was kind of Elvis's presence, you know.
The Circle G Ranch is situated a few minutes' drive from Graceland, just across the border in Horn Lake.
Just what an achievement.
Elvis came across the ranch quite by accident. He saw the magnificent 55-foot cross, and it made a big impression on him. As impulsive as ever, he decided he wanted to buy the ranch, and Elvis became the proud owner of Twinkletown Farm.
I'm not trying to be philosophical, but we see things die all the time.
But to this day,
But when some people get together to keep something alive,
it's a beautiful place.
it's
154 acres
a
of
beautiful
unbroken
thing.
pasture with a stunning lake.
While I was filming that reaction, someone right next to me was cutting onions. It's not a good time to slice onions. It just totally messed me up. Okay, I can't even sell that to you. You're not buying it. Yeah, I'm not even selling it. Oh my God, what a monumental way to cap off an amazing first season of a show that I didn't think was going to go past one episode. Lesley, God bless you. I love how this episode felt like a culmination of enjoying what has been done before and also savoring where this is all going. We're all in the Elvis preservation effort, and how sweet it is just to be a part of that. And I want to thank you all for your loving support. Anybody who had anything to do with the show, whether you were a guest on the show, you contributed content to the show, or simply watched the show, or even took time to say hi in the like button world of comments and stuff. God bless all of you. And I promise you season 2 is going to be more epic than this. And as if I thought, this went way beyond my expectations to begin with. So I didn't think I was going to make it past the first episode. I thought people were going to say, oh, piss off, this sucks. And what have I been hanging out, British people? Americans don't say piss off. Oh my God, I'm becoming quite international on this show. God bless all of you guys. And can't wait to see you for season 2. We got so much more. And like a normal TV show, we have cliffhangers because we still have Dylan to complete his series. And you know what that bell means? That means there's another ham in the oven. That's a Saturday Night Live joke with John Hamm. I don't know if you guys get that. And leave it to me to end such a great sentimental episode on a stupid, cheesy joke note. Some that might have even been over some people's heads who haven't seen that Saturday Night Live episode. Anyway, that means it is my time to go. I love you guys from the bottom of my heart. And as the old song says, the best is yet to come. Oh, TCB.